Presidents don't determine where the stock market and or your portfolio is going to go. So don't get caught up. Whether you agree or disagree with who's in the Oval Office, it doesn't matter.
Do you have a client story or an instance where things didn't go at all how we thought it was going to go for them?
I probably shouldn't go too deep here, but I think it's important. I want to just say this. The amount you need to pull out every year. Welcome back to Retire and Thrive, another episode where we help you live your life with purpose, wealth, and confidence.
I'm Kamie and this is Dan, and this week we are talking about aligning your assets. We actually have 3 ways to make your money work for the retirement you want, and we are going to get into that today. And we want to thank you first and foremost for joining us today. You can always like and subscribe to our podcast. We drop a new podcast each week. It's all about thriving in your retirement. We relate to people of all ages, though. It's not just about if you're in retirement or heading there. You can be 20 years old and learning about retirement. It's never too early to learn. So let's talk. We have these 3 different ways so that you at home can have the retirement you want. And we'll just get right into it. We're going to begin with the first way on our list here, and it's actually reviewing your accounts, which can be stressful. You have so many accounts, you have so many logins, you have so many different numbers to look at. Why is it so important to review those accounts, Dan?
Well, I would say there's many reasons why to review the accounts, and I think you can review the accounts based on, we talked a little bit before about the allocation. We can talk about the different types of accounts, whether it's retirement, non-retirement, Roth accounts, and also how those accounts are going to work for you in retirement or as you approach retirement. So again, I'm not sure how you want to break this up, if you want to just kind of dive into each one of these or how you want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, first, what's the purpose of looking at those accounts? Let's just get into it like that.
So one of the things when I think about reviewing accounts reminds me back during the COVID in 2020 and 21, we'd have clients that would literally say, I haven't even opened up my statement in 6 months. And I'm like, why haven't you opened up your statement? I don't want to see it. And I'm like, so you think by not opening it just goes away? And so I think that's just kind of burying your head.
Sure.
And so I think it's important that you take ownership of what you've got. And all too often, what I've seen, Kamie, is that people, it's almost like they get on this merry-go-round, if you will. I put money into my retirement. It just happens. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at it. And you need to look at these things. And I think it gives you a better sense about, not just are you on track for retirement.
When you look at your clients, do you have folks that, as you mentioned, I suppose you have some, especially during the pandemic, that don't look when times are tough, which is problematic, I assume, but people probably still do it regardless. But do you have folks that, do you have a client story or an instance where things didn't go at all how we thought it was going to go for them?
By them looking at the statement or just in general?
Yeah, just in general. But I mean, frustration and the emotion that comes with it. And maybe they're at that point where, okay, it's time now for me to take this money out and it's not where I want it to be.
Yeah, I think of a couple different stories completely unrelated. But one story in particular was a client of mine, and I won't go into details, but it involved a newly elected president. And, this is a story that ended up going bad. And the overall theme of the story was they were very concerned with who got elected as the president. And my advice has always been, presidents don't determine where the stock market and or your portfolio is going to go. So don't get caught up. Whether you agree or disagree with who's in the Oval Office, it doesn't matter. What moves the market is the business cycle, the economy, the growth, the GDP, all of that stuff is what moves markets. And if you got a diversified portfolio, don't get caught up in the headline news of what you're seeing. It depends, obviously, on what channel you're listening to, right? And you're in that space.
I am in that space, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is a story where they went out of the market. And as much convincing as I tried, and I said, you're trying to time the market here, and oftentimes that doesn't work. And it's not even so much that even if you guess right, it's how do I get back in? And that's exactly what happened in this case. They guessed completely wrong. And when the president was elected, the markets continued to climb and climb and climb. And finally, after about a year and a half, they came to me in somewhat admitted defeat and said, I need to get back in. And I'm like, I don't even know where a good entry point is because the market's up 40% since we got out.
Right.
And so, again, that's a bad scenario.
But they happen. And
it does happen.
Can relate to folks, yeah.
And I think I very seldom on this podcast, Kamie, talk about the importance of an advisor, but those are situations where having an advisor hold your hand through these turbulent times and telling you it's going to be okay, they do add, significant value when it comes to that, what we refer to as some of those emotional decisions or behavioral finance.
Yeah.
So another story you were asking that went bad, and this is a situation where we had somebody, they retired, and they had a pretty decent amount in their retirement. We rolled it to an IRA, and then they needed to fix something in the house. I can't remember if it was a deck or whatever it was. And so then they pulled, $30,000 out of their 401k. And then about 6 months later, they decided that they wanted to take this trip to Europe, so they pulled another $20,000. And, we kept talking to them about the impact of the taxes on these and the implications. And then come April, they owed a bunch of money in taxes. And the long story short is, and this is what I've witnessed, and it's happened a couple of times, is when you start pulling money out of your retirement account once you're retired in big chunks, not just monthly distributions, and going back to that several episodes ago, we were talking about the 4% withdrawal rate, it becomes very easy. It's literally just a phone call. And it's not our job to tell people they can't pull money out of their retirement accounts, but when there's very little barrier to get access to, again, it's their money, but that's the money that they need to generate monthly income for. And so, again, two totally unrelated stories, but in this particular case, it became very easy to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need X amount of dollars. And over the course of 5 years, that entire account was gone.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and I just bring those up just because it can relate to folks, and there are risks that you take always with your money, right? So as we mentioned, we have 3 ways to make your money work for the retirement you want. Let's get into number 2. It's something we've talked about, I don't know, feels like nearly every week, and it's less clutter means less stress. That is so important. Less clutter means less stress, and I'm sure with many of the clients or in your own life, I know in my life, that is true.
Yeah. And last week we did talk about less clutter. If you remember, I was telling the story about the banker.
Shirts. Yeah. Well, your shirts too. Goodwill. People got a good deal on some fancy clothes that Dan didn't wear.
But I think of less clutter. Let's just zero in specifically on investments. And on the investment front, it's not uncommon for people to have multiple accounts kind of scattered all over the place. And I'm not 100% sure why. It oftentimes I feel like the reason people do that is because they feel they're diversified.
That's what I'm saying. We hear diversify, and that's why, I got money here, 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 here.
Right.
Goes bad over here. It's okay. I have this.
Right.
But it can become chaotic.
It is. And there's a lot of challenges that go with that. And I'll just touch on a couple of those because I don't want to take the entire episode on less clutter. But first and foremost, let's just use IRAs, for example. If you work for an employer and you invest in their retirement plan, and then you leave and go to a different employer, and you've got another plan, and then you roll over your first one, and next thing you know, you got 5, 6 IRA accounts all kind of scattered. And one might be with one firm, and one might be with another firm, and different philosophies and so forth. And that's all great. And the mindset is, why would I put everything with one person? Because there's a risk there. And I want to demystify that if I can. We use as our custodian Fidelity. And so all of our assets are held at Fidelity. And I'm not saying Fidelity is the best and they're the biggest and everything else. I mean, they are towards the top. They're one of the biggest. But Fidelity manages trillions of dollars. And I'm not saying that Fidelity could never go under. I can't imagine a world where it would. But, I don't remember the specific numbers, but the majority of larger employers have their retirement plans at Fidelity. So that's what we're talking about, trillions and trillions of dollars. So if we take a consumer who has $50,000 in an IRA here and $110,000 over here and maybe $30,000 over here, they can bring those all together under one IRA. There is some specific tax rules you want to be careful about if they were invested differently. But assuming they were all pre-tax and they were all prior to a certain date, then they can consolidate those under one. And with us, all of those would be at Fidelity. And so I think the risk of having everything at Fidelity is pretty minimal. And we feel that way. And so I think the diversification is a myth, and I don't think it's real as long as the custodian is, reputable in their financial, they've got wherewithal.
Sure.
So I think that's part of a myth. The second thing of decluttering is there's something called a required minimum distribution. And that required minimum distribution currently is at age 73. You're going to be forced to pull money out of your retirement accounts if you haven't already done so. And that's just the government coming back and saying, Kamie, you've put this tax liability off long enough, and now it's our turn to get some revenue from that. So at age 73, you will start having to pull money out. And so imagine a world where you've got 5 or 6 different accounts and you've got to find out what the minimum is from this account and from this account and from this account. And it just gets to be a little bit overwhelming. And I probably shouldn't go too deep here, but I think it's important. I want to just say this. The amount you need to pull out every year is really a factor of 2 things. One is your age.
Sure.
And the other is your account balance on December 31st of the previous year.
Okay.
So the only reason I say that, I won't get into the actual numbers, but if I'm 74 years old, for example, they take a snapshot of December 31st. I mean, we're in 2025. So they take a snapshot of December 31st, 2024. Based on my age, it would come back, and third, the account value, it would say you need to pull out X amount. And so what I'm saying is it's not a constant. It changes every year based on those 3 components: my age, the account value as of the end of that year, and then it tells how much you have to pull out. So if you got 6, 7 different IRA accounts, very overwhelming.
Yeah, that is overwhelming. And then the tax percent, is that off of what tax bracket you're in? How much money you have?
Good. Very true. It's literally just treated as regular income.
Yeah.
So if I've got Social Security coming in, and I know we talk a lot about pensions, and I'm forced to pull out, $20,000, that just gets added. We call it ordinary income, but it's just regular income. You have to pull it in.
Okay.
And last thing I want to just say on decluttering, I know you maybe want to move on
No,
to
go
the next
ahead.
one,
No.
but the other benefit I think of what we refer to as consolidating is you can have everything in alignment. In other words, if I've got an account at this firm and maybe they're a little more aggressive and they like to buy and sell and trade stocks, and over here I've got money and they're more conservative and they're buying bonds, and over here I've got a diversified portfolio, they're not really all in sync. They're not like talking to one another. So it's really hard to know what your overall allocation is. And going back to the previous episode, I mean, that was one of the things we specifically talked about. And I don't remember if it was episode 11 or 12 that we talked about turning this portfolio into an income source. And again, we talk about taking inventory, and the inventory was figure out your overall allocation to stocks, to bonds, to cash. If you've got multiple accounts scattered all over, it's hard to do that.
Sure. Yeah. And we have our third and final way, and this is something that you could potentially do this week, or we're hoping that you do this week, or you can do it in a short period of time. It's something pretty simple. Pick one account this week and ask yourself, is this aligned with how I want to live in retirement? Dan, why is this so important to do?
All these accounts serve a different purpose. And I know that we had talked about the different tax status of each of these, or what we call the tax type, whether it's pre-tax, after-tax, or Roth account. But yeah, I would take a look across the board, and I would look at one account and say, what is the real purpose of this account? And it's kind of fun sometimes because we have people that have money kind of, I hate to say squirreled away, but maybe it's just kind of been a little nest egg. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's to take that big trip that they've never taken to go overseas or whatever it might be. And so I think by looking at these accounts, you can truly earmark them and say, you know what? We've had this account for a long time, or maybe they bought Series EE bonds 20 years ago or whatever it might be, and they take a look at these accounts and it just all of a sudden hits them, and it might be, oh my gosh, Kamie, that's what I'm going to use to buy my next car or whatever it might be. So yeah, I would say the takeaway is not only the declutter side of it, but literally take one account this week, look at it, and it could be a bank account, it could be an investment account, it could be any type of an account, and just ask yourself, what is the purpose of this account? Yeah.
All right. Some good advice. And hopefully these 3 ways help you as you navigate retirement. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible and help you live the retirement that you want to live, and make that money that you've made and worked so hard for work for you until the end. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to touch on?
I think we've kind of covered it.
We have.
We've continued to talk about inventory and then obviously the cash flows. So I just think this was a great episode that just kind of brings it all together.
Mm-hmm. And the whole focus is thriving as I understand my financial picture. So throughout, we are helping you work to make sure your financial picture is what it should be as you head into retirement or you navigate through it. Again, you can like and subscribe to this channel. We put out a new podcast every week, and we are based out of Minnesota. So if you're in the Midwest, hello to you. And if you're not in the Midwest, we hope that this still relates to you and your current financial situation. Thanks again. Have a great week.
President.